been quite an interesting client for Gillian, if I may, because I'm a sobriety coach. So my massive health piece that I've really changed my life with was I quit the booze 6 years ago. And then I retrained through some addiction therapy and training and moved my coaching business into niching and sobriety. So from a sort of wellness and a health lens, I, you know, like I've got this sort of perspective that if I could quit the booze, I can do anything. But actually, to a degree, I want to hold that because it was a challenging decision, and I did it, and I've quit the booze forever. But what's also really interesting is all the techniques that I used for myself and now with my clients around that, I haven't applied to the food, and so I think that. But I've known that I went straight from a cross addiction from the alcohol to sugar. So the food has been something that I've also been working on post sobriety for quite a long time, never really cracking. Because what I did recognize was that I was using food as a reward for not drinking. It was very obvious to me that Gillian was a person of, real integrity. And by that, I mean that she genuinely lived the values of her work. And that mattered to me because alignment, I mentioned that before, alignment and being congruent with myself and who I am matters to me. So I felt in very safe hands. And I also felt that it was really, I was in safe hands to learn. I'm hugely motivated by learning. And I think one of the initial surprises was that we very rarely talked about food, which is very similar to my work. Yes, we talk about drink, but it's actually the bulk of my coaching work is about the stuff that goes on underneath and the motivation and the triggers. So I felt in very safe hands, and I also felt that Gillian is a very gentle coach, but wouldn't let me get away with it either. It's been completely transformational for me because, I felt I was eating in a healthy manner, but I really wasn't. Or maybe I was eating, on a sort of 80% healthily, but I actually wasn't looking at the data to support that. There was as to why I wasn't dropping the weight, because I'm actually a big exerciser. I do a lot of exercise, or I do a lot of resistance training. I do. I mean, Gillian knows this. I do a lot of. I was a runner, but I have a knee injury, and I just actually sat down and looked at the metrics. So, which it's kind of a bit fundamental, So that was a really, really, really big takeaway when I was gently persuaded to suck it up in terms of resistance. I really looked forward to all of the sessions, and I think there's great longevity in the work that we've done together. And I think that's important to say, because even though the program's done in terms of our weekly calls, I've got all the work that I've done. And, it's my work. Gillian has been a facilitator of my progress. And so there's a very, very positive impact of that. That's all there. It's not just a file on the wall. I can go back and look at what my writing, my reflections, my insights. And I think that's had a very, very positive impact on me. It's had an impact on my behaviour. And that's the proof of the pudding, isn't it? Unfortunate choice of words there. Well, I think one of my proudest achievements has been that I have divorced my slimming club. And and she knew that at the beginning of this program, in fact, I was still continuing to go to the slimming club. Again, it was a misalignment with me as a person. Don't hesitate, with the caveat that be ready. And by that, I mean, be prepared to do the work, because the work may surprise you. You know, Gillian is not going to tell you to clear your kitchen, or she might clear your kitchen of the bad stuff and go out and buy a full menu of healthy herbs and kale and broccoli. You know, I mean, if this is what you want, she might. But I would say don't hesitate to work with Gillian, but do be prepared to do the work and give yourself the time to really think and reflect. So be prepared to be surprised, yeah, and be prepared potentially to meet your own resistance, because resistance might show. But I know, having done the work with her and in other areas, that when resistance shows, it's because you're ready for a change. There's something coming up. So be prepared to meet the resistance head on and ask yourself why that resistance is in place. Because Gillian will ask you if you don't ask yourself. Thank you very much for dealing with probably the chattiest and most resistant client you've ever had. I hope she smiles if she gets to see that. Yeah, I feel that Gillian has been a really fantastic. You, Gillian, have been a really fantastic enabler in my health journey, and I'm very, very grateful for some of them were reminders, but for the models that you use and the language you used with me, because I'd never on those days use those models, if that makes sense. You know, you took me through some work on, you know, it through my lens, and you gently held me to make a great impact and a great change in my life. So I'm very grateful. Thank you.